Hello. One thing I cannot stand about the Ru Judge seasons of Drag Race is production's inability to draft tension. Not only that, but to make me feel emotional about the lip syncs, about the eliminations, about the queens that are there. They follow the same formula, the rubric is dull, I'm bored of most of it. It's all way too formulaic. Production mismanages every season that Ru is a part of. Whether that's because American audiences really like trash reality TV, and so those are the parts they focus on, or because the production team has just gotten complacent in what they do, it becomes repetitive to me. I already know who's going to go home when the episode starts, I know who's going to win. Now that I've got my lick in, let me just say, España does not have this problem at all. I think España might actually be one of the best seasons that exists across all the franchises, and that's because it manages to casually mix in everyday drama that's going to happen when you put queer folks into a room together, but it also creates layers of tension. When Satine and Margarita are in the bottom two lip syncing, I was gasping for air. This is a series that I'm always holding my breath from start to finish on, because I don't know where the show is gonna take me. The edit doesn't prime me in any way for who's going to win. For the most part, I find myself surprised at every single outcome. And I love that about Drag Race España. And episode 3 did the damn thing. This club had everything. It had drama, it had shit stirring, it had tears, it had high fashion. Let's get into this. Hi, hello, my name is Jared, but you can call me tonight. I am obsessed with Drag Race España's callback to Top Model by making the wigs disappear at the top of each episode. Nori is officially gone from the competition and she is unable to count. I think she was counting herself, but the joke stood nonetheless. And I don't know how to explain this, but Crystal Forever is majorly giving me, like, chaotic, evil version of Melinda Verga. She is activated all the time. That gasket is vibrating, steam is coming out of it, and Miss Mama popped off today. While I don't necessarily live for mess, I also am kind of here for it when it doesn't involve me. And the way that Crystal was so messy this entire episode, from beginning the episode puffing that she wasn't able to complete her thought when the girls were just kikiing, to her actively yelling at the tables, to her cutting looks in Untucked, Miss Diva was the drama. We jumped straight into the Maxi Challenge with No Mini, which is a 2-category runway. I really enjoy these, and we see these often in the international seasons, more so than we see in the mainline. Bring a red carpet look that is fully you, and then create a red carpet look that is inspired by a previously designed red carpet look. Now, I am not immersed in Spanish culture, so I do not know who Rosy is. They seem like someone who is really interested in camp and glam and not taking themselves too seriously, while also providing a lot of high fashion moments. And so I think this is a great avenue for drag queens to be able to pull inspiration from. You've got someone who is not taking themselves too seriously, so you don't have to either. They all draw sticks with a heart on them. Each of those hearts is revealed to have a number on them. Those numbers refer to how they get to choose their card. A present, if you will. That present, after revealed, shows the look they'll be inspired by. But the next person who picks can steal from someone else, and we got 2 steals. One was from Margarita, who steals from Laka. I think that the look was definitely very much in line with what either one of them could have banged out. I think that it worked out in Laka's favor that she didn't get those dense fabrics that Margarita ended up with. And Denebola steals from NYX. That was the dress to steal from. Like, if you're gonna steal an outfit, it should be that one. I will say, it was a little bit on brand for Denebola. I would have loved to have seen her push outside of her normal box and aesthetic, but I do think the look was solid when we get to see it. We get into the design process, and I just gotta say, it's been, I think, 73 seasons of Drag Race altogether. If you count the mainline, the all-stars, all of the internationals, we are at something like 73 or 74 seasons total. It is mind-boggling to me that there are still queens that are coming onto the show that don't know how to sew, but such is life. I feel like at this point in the Drag Race universe, you should know how to stitch something. At the very least, be able to create a silhouette that is good for you, or have patterns for things that are good for you. Go to your regular designer, pick up whatever pattern they normally use to design a costume for you, make a copy of it, and bring that to Drag Race. Crystal was pissed this episode because she allegedly helped everybody in the workroom, but nobody bothered to help her. I think that if you offer help to someone, you can't expect anything back. You give help because you genuinely want to do it, not because you're expecting something back. That's tit for tat. Then you have to preface, I am helping you with the distinct possibility I will need your assistance later. You don't give a gift and then ask for something in return. That's just selfish. And I find the energy kind of dark-sided. I think the way that she is presenting herself is a little sinister, but I will say where a lot of people are totally afraid to come in and lean into the villain role, it is very clear that Crystal is not afraid to do so. She is ready to do so. There are a lot of looks, so I want to get straight into these. Farran for red carpet is literally wearing the red carpet. And we saw a lot of these ropes and pole inspirations, so I think they were all kind of on the same line of thought, but no one had a backup to do something different on the runway. I think this look by Farran is really simple, but I think it's somehow effective. I like the kind of old Hollywoodness of the sleeves. I like these pearlescent gloves and the accessorization on it. I do think that Farran's commitment to this makeup might be a little out of touch with the actual look. I think sometimes queens that come in that have a really graphic face sometimes don't think about how the pieces are going to connect with the actual drag they're bringing. And this does look a little discordant to me. I think for this look, it required something a little softer. Not to gatekeep or police drag, it just doesn't look very subtle to me when the look is quite subtle. I also really think that it could have used like a fishnet or something just because those legs are so bare. And then for her Rossi look, we have a big departure from the original source material. The original was a little flamenco, it had this hot coat on it. This one was transformed into something more cowboy. We have arm covers, chaps, and polka dots. And I don't know if all of these pieces go together. I love me a chap. I don't know if it goes with this particular polka dot remnant. I think the neckline is a problem for me because I think the construction of these sleeves are quite interesting. I like what Farran did with this look from here up. I think there could have been a couple minor tweaks to make it a little cleaner, and I think maybe it didn't require a chap. I think the through line of both looks definitely landed Farran in a low placement for me, potentially bottom 2. Next for red carpet is giving us some Denmark Royal Guard inspiration. I really like the mix of textiles here. I don't know if I'm obsessed with the socks with this look. I really feel like I'm policing drag, but I don't feel like Argyle socks belong on drag. The shoe definitely could have been black. I like the source material. Definitely not red carpet to me. It sort of deviates from what the brief is. And then for her Rossi red carpet look, I'm a little confused why she chose to go in a Marge Simpson route with this. The original look does not tell that story at all. It doesn't even give Simpsons. I think that the hair could have been sleeker if she was going to commit to that blue. I think that the departure from the shape and the silhouette is a little jarring. This is meant to be something that is inspired by the original look, filtered through their unique ideas of what their drag looks like. And to that end, I think this does look distinctly NYX. I don't quite understand the asymmetrical lace legging. Why there's no asymmetry anywhere else on this garment. There could have been something here on maybe one of these sleeves missing, or maybe one of them was longer than the other, maybe on opposite sides of that nasty old leg, just so that there is a little more of a through line in that concept. I personally don't like when there's a design element that doesn't make sense with the rest of it. I do love that pop of blue. It just maybe could have been cleaner because it doesn't read red carpet to me. Overall, I think both of her looks just didn't push hard enough. Satine Greco is next, presenting one of the most gorgina red carpet dresses I have ever seen on Drag Race. I love the soft sculpture of this entire bodice area, the way that it wraps around her like a flower. That rhinestone camera, oh, it was everything. It's nipped in tight at the waist. There's a lot of visual interest with the way that it's been rhinestoned, almost like a belt. And then the way that it's so sleek and then has all this volume at the bottom, trailing behind her, it looks so couture. This is what an experienced professional looks like, folks. This is clearly someone who knows what they look like, knows their body, knows how to dress it, and works with designers who know how to dress them. It was one of the most impressive looks in this particular category for me. For the Rossi look, I feel a little bit Crazy Town USA because I lived for this. It was a little Sia meets Raja in Drag Race Season 3. It reads red carpet, it reads couture, it reads seasoned professional drag queen. I see the inspiration from the original look with the flower on the head. I love the way that it has been designed with these pops of color. It's dreamy and luxe. The thing I don't understand that I probably would have scrapped would have been those yellow leggings. They look like they were supposed to go with NYX's look to push the Marge Simpson thing. And then maybe if she and NYX had traded leggings and she had that black lace, that actually would have looked really chic and couture on this, and it would have worked with the way that she has asymmetry in her look. I love this stole that she's created with the silks. It's all very luxe and high fashion, and it's kind of cute and whimsical. It's soft in a way that I think is different and unique for Satine. This particular salmon pink could look extremely junior, but Satine just made it work with incorporating that soft peach color into it as well. It works perfectly. Again, I feel crazy for liking this because the judges didn't. This was her bottom moment, and I didn't agree with that. Daphne Mugler is next in, surprise, more ropes. I really enjoyed the star shape of this. I haven't seen anything like this in a very long time. I love the face cutout, the way that the fabric drapes off of it. It takes camp to another level. This look is juicy. And for her second look, I think she took a lot of inspiration from the source material, which is not bad at all because it's totally in line with her aesthetic and her branding. I am obsessed with this look. Caveat with the fascinator. This tulle fascinator is what brings it to the next level. Without it, it's just a pretty look. With it, it's couture. There's something very important about styling and leaving certain styling elements on. I think without it, it's just as a cute LBD. It has a great shape to it. I love the way each of these layers are sculpted on top of each other. They create this gorgeous cascade effect. But it's missing something without the fascinator because the original look also has a fascinator. It needs that to tie it together. That was a big miss taking it off because otherwise, this could have been the winning look in my opinion. Margarita Califata for a red carpet is in what I can only describe as no bitch. No! I like the hair choice. I think that's my favorite part of it. But it's more red carpet for like Kids' Choice Awards. It doesn't read as an adult red carpet function. It doesn't read as drag red carpet function. I think the overall construction of this garment is so bulky. It loses a lot of the high fashion interest because of the fabric choices. It almost looks like upholstery to me, which I think can be effective in the right circumstance. But this particular saturation of red, the architecture of this whole look just doesn't work for me. And it looks like there's a side zip, which creates this awkward effect of the panels not meeting each other. I think that was probably done intentionally because doing a back zip would have ruined a lot of these interest lines that are running all through it. I just wish that there was some type of closure on that didn't open up at the bottom. And then it needed a little bit of a yank right in the middle to give it some shape. The fabric did not want to sit in this way, and it shows. And for her second look, I think she was a little too literal in her interpretation of the look. It is basically a 1-for-1. The problem with this particular color and this particular textile is it looks like Laffy Taffy when it is put together. Someone else mentioned bubblegum, and I think they were probably talking about that roll tape bubblegum. What is that, Hubba Bubba? And I also see that. There are a lot of misses with this look, and it has a lot to do with the fit and the shape. I think the construction elements are there. The way that shoulder goes up is interestingly architectural, but there's not enough of Margarita in here. And I think it's trying way too hard to be the original look, when I would have liked something like what she's got going on with her sleeve. More of that element should have been incorporated in, that difference, that whimsy that separates it from just a recreation look. Because it's not meant to be a recreation, it's meant to be inspired by. I think Margarita overall was the lowest performer in both categories. La Escandalo is next for red carpet, giving me drag red carpet. So far, this is the most draggy look out of all of them. And I love when a drag queen is not afraid to look like a drag queen. I love high fashion looks, but this looks drag. It's superhero meets comic book. It's almost a little Power Rangers villain meets like Sailor Moon villain. I love the hair choice and this gold piping that is all through the dress. Mwah. This is Ova for me. This shut it down. Different for red carpet, kind of in the same way that NYX did, but this makes more sense to me for a red carpet look. And I think it's got a graphicness that I wanted to see from this particular brief. And for her second look, I think she did something really special with the source material into her interpretation. I love that big hair that she paired with this look. I think it scales everything proportionately with her. I love the asymmetry and this sleek black gown with all of these pops of the feathers coming out. This placed very high for me. I mean, no shade to the original look, but I think there's just something so Muppety about it. It's bulky in the wrong places, and I don't care for the look. I love how camp it is, and I love that it is not afraid to be a little comedic. It's just not my favorite look that I saw from everything else tonight, but I am obsessed with Escandalo's treatment of all of these textiles. She did a great job interpreting the assignment and filtering that through her. Alexandra de Raval is the next. Preface: I like this look for a cabaret runway. I do not like it for red carpet. I say this in a fashion setting. This is super inappropriate for a red carpet look. Maybe if it's a red carpet for like sex work awards, like if Rebecca Moore was gonna wear this in her heyday, but my understanding of this entire category was it was meant to be red carpet look, something you're supposed to be photographed in, something a little high society. I like the construction of the look. I love the hair, I love the feathers, I like the fringe, everything about it works for something else. But she did stone those tights, and I'm here for that. And for her second look, she decided to go a little dominatrix, a lot with the entire look. Ugh. I think it's missing an editing touch. I don't think the hat was necessary, considering she just held it and then tossed it. I'm a big fan of, if you're gonna bring a prop to the runway, it's gotta have functionality and utility. And this hat was non-important. It's sort of like a look over there moment. I think the bra is interesting enough, but they're placed so high up, like those tits start up here at the clavicle. Your boobs should not start where your collarbones are. And that's kind of where she's lifted this. So the bra needed to be pushed down like 3 inches. I like the shape of the corset and the way that the skirt trails in the back, but in the front, it definitely needed a little bit of a yank upwards, and maybe a little bit of rouging would have been interesting. I love the mug though. I will give props to the mug. That's the face card that won't get declined. The rest of it will get declined, and this also is inappropriate for the category. Is it her? Absolutely. Is it filtered through her perspective? 100%. Do I like it? No. And I think with both of these looks, the through line led to, it's too off topic for what the category was, and this was a bottom placer for me. Laka Udia is next doing the actual red carpet. As you can see, there are footprints all over it. What I liked about this look in particular is how it deviated from some of the other looks that incorporated the rope as well as the cue posts. She used the post as a walking cane and used those ropes as if they were a stole. I'm glad that it was different from what the others presented. It's drag, and I love that. That being said, I don't think this was necessarily the top performer of the week. I do think that Laka could have maybe won last week, but I don't know if this was a top placer for me, para mí. And then for her second look, she chose to go a little more military with it. I actually quite enjoy this look. I love a LBD. I love the fringe that's coming off of it, the way that this almost tire skid mark goes down into that zigzag pattern. Everything is sharp and angular about it. It reads military, but it did need maybe one small edit. I would have removed entirely the muff and the stole. I don't think it necessarily needed to be there because everything else is so sharp and precise. I love the boots with this too. That was a great styling choice. It just needs one thing gone. And maybe that would have elevated it to a top placement for me. Ava Harrington for red carpet had another one of my favorite looks of the entire night. I was obsessed with this almost Jessica Rabbit dress shape with the dripping crystal all over it. It was mwah, chef's kiss. I love the camp of all of the cameras surrounding her. I love that sleek hair, and I'm obsessed with her paint. In my opinion, I think Ava Harrington was one of the top placers of the night. I liked this look, and then I liked her second look, which I think takes enough of a departure from the source material, but also translates it to her own unique sense of drag. The color theory of incorporating that green was such a smart choice. And the shape of that green material, I feel like I've seen 100 pageant queens come out with dresses that literally have that shape on it. I like that it's been turned into this almost old Hollywood-like silhouette. The feathers that drape off of it are really nice. It's eye-pleasing. And I love the way that she accentuated the girls. That's the moneymaker right there. This is one of my favorite looks of the entire night. It's just stunning, and I feel like I'm crazy for suggesting that this is a high look, but to me it is. Denebola for red carpet is presenting us a solid story. I love the presentation of this look. The cone bra and the construction of that was a wet dream. I like that Denebola always stays in her particular story. She's always this black and white creature, and I'm obsessed with that. The shape of this dress overall is bold. It has been constructed well. It fits her body perfectly. This brings drag and couture to another level, in a way that, quite frankly, we didn't see from anybody else in this category. This is maybe the most elevated fashion look from the red carpets. And I think it was something unique and different that nobody else dared to do. And for the second look, I think this was pretty solid. I like the maximalism of the look and not incorporating too many of those wild shapes, because Denebola really could have gone crazy with all of those white leaflets and just had them go all the way up. I posit a very simple non-combative question though. Is it maybe too safe to work in a color scheme that they normally work in? We've seen Denebola in lots of black and white already. Is this maybe too familiar? I love the idea of flipping the dress upside down. I like when designers do that. I like when they flip them backwards or invert them or do something that sort of twists what the original look was. I've seen something like this on Project Runway, and it was effective and impactful in its own way, and I think it was so here. I just wonder, is it too safe? Especially considering that they stole this look rather than trying to take a risk with something else. Crystal Forever is the last, doing what she describes as an orchid look. I like the Jessica Rabbit hair, but this is now the second time we've seen a Jessica Rabbit look on this particular runway, and like third time throughout this entire season. I like the idea of the dress. It's very pretty, and I like the construction of it. I think that the way that the color gradiates from dark to lighter as it cascades outwards is visually interesting. My problem is that all of the interest is at the front. When she turned to the side, you could see the back is completely flat. Like there was not a thought given to what the back was going to be. The editors tried not to show us the back, and I think it's because there was nothing to see. And so for that reason, it kind of falls flat. This is a 360 competition, and on a runway, especially a red carpet, you are going to be photographed in 360, so you have to be thinking about that entire part of the brief. And unfortunately, this falls a little flat. And for the second look, while I really enjoy it, I kind of have a problem with the fact that it deviated away from Rosie into RuPaul. Even the way that she walks this is Ru-like. Do I enjoy all the elements of it? Absolutely. I love the way that she transformed this fringe and made it softer and lighter. There is something extremely drag about this, and it all goes down to the styling with those boots. These gigantic hoop earrings, that necklace, it's all really luxe. It looks like it belongs on a red carpet. Does it look like it was inspired by Rosie? I don't think so. I don't even think it's necessarily giving me Crystal Forever. It's a cool look, but it is kind of off topic. So it's not necessarily low because it's made really well. It just is very safe because it just isn't hitting. In Untucked, we have a really upsetting moment from Satine Greco where she's saying that she's kind of okay with going home. She's happy with her trajectory, she's happy with where she's at, and she feels like it's her time. It is shocking to me to see two front runners in the competition right now being bottom bitches. And I honestly don't even think that Satine should have been in the bottom. I think that easily could have gone to someone else. A lot of the girls are kind of upset that Satine wants to go home or is implying that she'd be okay if her journey was over. But to me, I kind of see it as Satine's someone who has presumably been in the business for like 20 years. She's probably won loads of competitions, has an entire support system behind her, and has things to go back to. Satine doesn't need Drag Race. She had a career that was thriving before even getting on the show. This is just gonna boost her up even more. It's someone like Tamisha. They don't need Drag Race to be a star. There are some folks who go on the show who didn't really have much of a career before. They were not full-time performers. Satine doesn't need this, so if she goes home, she's fine with that. The other girls need it more than her. At least that's kind of how I interpreted her behavior. So I didn't take any great offense by her saying that she felt it was her time and that she was okay with that. But I don't like seeing a competitor give up, so to speak, so I wish she had fought a little harder. We do ultimately see that in the lip sync, but not before Denibola gets the win this week. I am on Crazy Train. I really feel like the win could have gone to Satine. While I love Denibola's looks, I really liked Satine's more. I don't think she should have been in the bottom. I think she should have been the high placer. She performed excellently in both looks. They were high fashion, they were her. The source material was excellently transferred through her branding in the second look. It was over for me. And I really feel like Ava Harrington could have been the other top placer. I liked both looks exceptionally well. Exceptionally, we finally figure out what this heart twist is, and after so much confusion, I now understand. So the eliminated queen gets to give their heart piece to someone who's still in the competition. If they get a full heart, they can decide how they want to play this bottom placement. They can either save themselves or save someone else. I'm assuming that if the heart went to someone that was safe, they could have chosen someone to be safe since they themselves were not up for elimination and couldn't save themselves. It's all very complicated, but I think I understand the general idea of it. It's Spain's solution to the Golden Beaver without giving utter and complete control to the person in the top. So then strategically, the next person that goes home should leave their heart piece with Satine, because then no one else will have the opportunity to save themselves or someone else, because she's now at a 0 balance, and it seems like she could get another heart piece. Again, all very convoluted, but I understand it now. You're eliminated, you give your thing to somebody. If they have 2 of that thing, they get power. And gag of the century, she chooses to save Ferran instead of herself. I was convinced, as well as Margarita was convinced, that she was gonna pull a Dovima and just stand there and let the lip sync happen. And I am endlessly glad that that did not happen, because I think this may have been one of the best lip syncs of the entire franchise. I cannot think of a ballad that got performed that made me stop breathing and hold my breath. I cannot think of a lip sync that made me cry midway through it. I was choking up for real because it was that good. These are 2 professionals who are so good at what they do. The energy of that room had to have been insane watching the 2 of them perform. The power and raw emotion that was coming out of both of them was so palpable even through the screen. Like, this was the lip sync to shut down the entire year of Drag Race. Margarita ultimately is called as the safe queen, which I wasn't surprised about because Satine basically said that she was okay if she went home. But another gag, they chose to save her. This was a moment where the edit kind of primed me that maybe it was going to be a double save, because I swear we got an entire cut of that song. Normally we get like a minute and a half, 2 minutes of a song, but this was like the extended cut of it, and it was beautiful to see. I'm so glad they showed us every moment because there was not a bit of dead air. Both of them were emoting their souls out, and the double save was completely worthwhile. But what we're told in the preview for next week is that because there's too many of them, at some point, 2 of them are going to go home. And I'm glad that at least Supreme is being honest that this is going to happen. There was a double save where there shouldn't have been, so 2 people have to go home later. It sucks, but it's gotta happen. And it was already queued up last week that there could have been a double elim. And to be honest, I think it could have been last week. I think it would have been super interesting to see what would have happened with 2 heart pieces in play. Would both pieces have gone to Satine? Would she have then been able to save Ferran and then have a spare heart for next time? That would have been a gag. In any case, I am curious who's going to end up being double elim. I can see it in the cards for a couple of contestants who are just not really giving that much. I can see it in the cards for a couple of contestants who don't really seem to be that focused. I am worried about Ferran and their placement in the competition because I think this moment shook them, and I think that could ripple into next week. But in any case, what did you think about this episode? It was so dramatic and wild and heartfelt. It was the full spectrum of emotions that I want to see from Drag Race, but so rarely do. España is leaving me guessing every week. And some of y'all have asked about Drag Race UK. I'll just say it here. I watched the first first episode and I was so bored. I'm not gonna watch it again. Not until I need to for my Drag Race podcast, which is gonna be years from now. So if you want any thoughts on that, I'm sure there are plenty of creators around here who are discussing it. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see y'all on the flip.